Alright, so we're going to be replacing some Hadron XX trimmers. Here are the replacement trimmers, and so the reason you would need to replace the trimmers is if they start slipping on you. They can slip during spirals or wing overs or any aerobatics, or just even on takeoff. So mine were slipping even on takeoff, and so you'll be taking off and all of a sudden one of your trimmers will go up all the way to like 6 or something, and you'll take off in a fairly steep turn and it'll be harder to take off because you got to run farther. So they sell these trimmers. I think they're like 16 bucks a piece, so not bad at all, really. My man Chris hooked me up with these, and so thank you very much, Chris, for that. Really nice guy, and I'm so glad that I talked to him because he was a lot more helpful than Dudek was, or the US importer. So we're going to be swapping them out, and the very first thing that you have to do, you can see these right here. These are originally started as the same piece here. You can see they're solid, but they actually ground the solid off. Looks like they ground it on both sides, and I'm just spinning the standoff here. But if we look real close, you can see little grinding marks on there. Kind of hard to see on the camera, but anyway, they ground both sides on the inside and outside, and they basically just took that little piece of metal out and replaced it with a standoff and 2 screws. So first thing that we got to do is cut that. So the tools that we're going to need for this job are a small wrench. I think it's probably like a 6mm wrench, but I didn't have one. Of course, I've got this, and a small crescent works just fine. Nothing's tightened down too much. A flathead, a small cutter. I'm using this like mini hacksaw, almost like a coping saw. Either would probably work just fine. Some blue Loctite and a small screwdriver. This is kind of my custom small screwdriver. So that's a Phillips head screwdriver there. So the first thing we got to do is cut that. So I'm going to try to set this camera up so it doesn't fall down, and we'll get to cutting that. Now you want to keep the fabric out of the way. So get it out of the way as much as you can. You might want to tape it down or something like that, but just get a nice groove to start, as far away from the fabric as you can, and then, my apologies for the videography, but I'm going to start this up after I've got it cut. Alright, so now that we've cut through it and we avoided cutting the fabric, I'm going to take the flathead screwdriver and I'm going to pry that joint apart. So let me set this camera up again, and I'll show you guys that. So I don't have a very good camera for doing this, but hopefully this will work just fine. Okay, we've got this. Basically, I'm just going to get the flathead in there and pry apart. And if you can get the post off to one side, that's pretty ideal. So get a flathead in there, pry it off to the side. So be careful because you got a bunch of sharp metal right here. You might want to hit it with a file. So I know I didn't like include that in the tools that you need, but maybe you need one. I'm going to hit this one with a file. The other one didn't come out quite as sharp. This one looks pretty sharp, so just going to knock down those sharp edges so we don't get the fabric caught. Okay, and then carefully slide that off. Okay, got that over there. And then on this side, take note of the way that this is facing. I don't think it really matters, but you probably just want to put it back the exact same anyway. And then lefty-loosey, loosen that malleon up. Should not be super tight, so you can slide this off. Try to get yourself a little bit of room to work with. They're fairly tight, but it'll come off. So just going to be me struggling for the next couple of seconds. but you get the point. As I said, it is fairly tight. Just gotta work with it. Try to give yourself as much space in that fabric as you can. And it's coming off slowly. There we go. Okay, so keep that in the same direction there. Now, really important thing to note, okay? You want these installed. Let me check my other riser here. Okay, you want these installed like this, okay? So this is pretty close to see, but as the riser goes up, you want that part up, right? So I have this on the inside. Well, that's not very good because you're gonna have to reach your hands in there. And do not try pulling this thing through because you're never gonna get it back through. You'd have to go through this way and it's not gonna happen. So take this guy and do that, right? Curl it over and voila, it's on the outside now. So don't go through the trouble of trying to feed that thing through the other way. It's not going to happen. So now we take this and we actually need this plastic buckle. Okay, so as you can see, move this up here. This is how it was on. So the plastic buckle, the little convex side goes towards you, as long as you're looking at the back of the risers. And we'll slip this red trimmer tape through first. Hopefully the camera will stay focused. Okay, slip that through, pull it through, and then slip this back through. Now you notice how it's shaped like that, so just keep that in mind and do the same thing with the elastic on the new trimmers. Okay, so new trimmers, I've got this buckle facing up like this, I've got this part out, I need to feed this through, and I'm gonna go like this. Okay, feed this through first, and as you can see, we've got the same shape here, so it's in right. Now, I need the trimmer tape through there too. So I'm gonna pull my trims out a bit. I have to do that a bit off camera because it's kind of hard to do when they're not loaded. Okay, so I've pulled it through a little bit, and now we see everything's in line, and I've got this this needs to be like that. Okay, so now that we've got this trimmer tape like that, it goes up like this, trying to show it to the camera nicely. This is going to go in. The red trimmer tape goes in. You can pull this elastic through a little bit, might make it a little bit easier. Red trimmer tape goes in, then back through here. Okay, you want to pull it through, not that much, it's way too much through, so I'm going to pull the elastic a little bit, so you want that flush, and we want to get where it's twice the thickness all the way through. So push this through a little bit, and what I noticed on my trimmers is you could just barely see that black line, and you can see it right there. So that's where I'm going to keep it. Now I've got my trimmers laid out flat. I'm going to slide this on just the same. The convex side is towards me, so I'm gonna push it to make it a little bit larger of an opening. Slip right on. Okay, then we can go ahead and close this up. Now, the manufacturer does not recommend using any Loctite or anything like that, so just spin it on freely. You can use a wrench, you just need it snug, do not over tighten. So, just a little snug, boom, feels good to me. You choke up on the wrench and it's not going to come loose. It's not loaded like that. So, okay, now we have these screws. We need to take them out. So, pull them out, and I'll get my skinny homemade screwdriver and get this one out. Don't lose these screws. Very simple from here. Make sure everything's flat. And you're just going to take this standoff, slide it through, so you have it showing on both sides. And I like to put a little bit of blue Loctite on these screws. So put a little bit of blue Loctite. I'm going to do the same thing with the other screw. A little bit of blue Loctite. So cheap insurance for those not backing off, since it's no longer a solid piece of metal. So now we can put the screw in. Tighten it up a little bit. Same thing with this one, still got our Loctite on it, so line that up, tighten it up. Now there's a little bit of space between the standoff and the wall. It has a little bit of play, and by the wall I mean like these. So tighten it up with your Phillips head screwdriver, small Phillips, precision Phillips. And because it's a standoff and it's threaded in the way that it is, by just tightening these screws, they'll tighten against each other. So basically we don't need to hold the standoff. Now with your Phillips, you're not going to be able to get it all that tight. So tighten it a little bit. These probably don't have to be all that tight, but you should use a flathead to get a little bit more torque on it. Now you don't want any space in there. Because if you don't have any space, then these screws are in shear and they're plenty strong for what you're dealing with. So snug up on that, no need to go insane. Just a good, nice and tight. Making sure that everything's flush, and voila, we've installed trimmers. So now you can go fly again and let your trimmers out and pull them back in. Hopefully this is helpful. If it is, drop a like. And thanks so much to Chris Airfoil, for sending me these trimmers. Super nice guy. Thanks so much for them. I'm super excited to get back in the air with them.